A Woman of No Importance by Oscar Wilde. It was a warm and sunny afternoon in the countryside of England. The birds were singing, the sky was blue, and the grass in the garden was fresh and green. A big and beautiful house stood in the middle of many trees. This house was very rich. It had many rooms, big windows, and tall white pillars. The garden was full of colorful flowers. It was a perfect place for a party. Many rich people came to this house. They came in big, shiny carriages. Some came in early, and some came later. They were invited for a weekend party. They would eat good food, drink tea, and talk about many things. Most of these people were from the city. They had a lot of money and expensive clothes. The ladies wore long dresses with hats and gloves. The men wore black coats, white shirts, and shiny shoes. Everyone looked smart and proud. When they entered the house, servants greeted them. The servants opened the doors, took their coats, and gave them tea. The house was full of noise. People were talking, laughing, and walking around. The air smelled of fresh flowers and sweet cakes. The rich people were happy, but they also liked to gossip. They liked to talk about others when those people were not there. They talked in soft voices, smiled politely, and said sharp things about others. Some said, "Did you see her dress? It is so old." Others said, "He says he has money, but I don't believe him." Many of them smiled on the outside, but had different thoughts inside. It was a world full of beauty, but also full of secrets. In this party, there was a young man named Gerald Arbuthnot. He was different. He was not like the other rich men. Gerald was kind and honest. He always said thank you to the servants. He helped the old ladies to sit down. He smiled with his heart. Many people at the party liked him. Some said, "He is a fine young man." Others said, "He is clever and polite. He will have a good future." Gerald was not from a rich family. He lived with his mother, Mrs. Arbuthnot, in a small house. They did not have much money, but they had love and respect. Gerald worked hard and studied well. He had good manners and a good heart. This made him special. At the party, Gerald met many new people. Some of them were important in society. One man was Lord Illingworth. He was rich, powerful, and clever with words. He liked to talk and show that he was smarter than others. He saw Gerald and smiled. He said, "Young man, I have heard about you. You are doing well. I like smart young men." Gerald smiled and said, "Thank you, sir. I try my best." Lord Illingworth kept watching Gerald. He wanted to know more about him. He thought, "This boy is clever. I may have work for him." But Gerald did not know this yet. As the sun went down, the guests moved to the garden. Lamps were hung on the trees. Music played in the air. The people laughed, danced, and told funny stories. The party was full of joy, but also full of hidden talks. Some people looked happy, but they were not. Others looked simple, but they had strong hearts. Gerald stood near the garden steps and looked around. He felt a little different from the others. He missed his mother. She was not there. She did not like such parties. Gerald wished she could see the beauty of the place, but he also knew his mother had her own reasons. As the night grew darker, the stars came out. The big house shone like a picture in a storybook. Everyone was still talking, laughing, and enjoying. Gerald did not know that this weekend party would change his life. He did not know that a secret from the past would soon come out. His mother's life and his future were about to be tested. This was not just a party. It was the beginning of something big. Part 2. A Good Job for Gerald. The stars were shining bright in the sky. The music at the party was soft now. Many people were still in the garden, talking and laughing. The night was cool, and the air smelled sweet with flowers. Gerald was sitting near the fountain, thinking about the evening. It was a long day, but a good one. Many people had talked to him. He felt proud. Just then, Lord Illingworth walked toward him. He smiled and sat beside Gerald. "Young man," said Lord Illingworth, "I have watched you today. You are smart. You speak well. You have good manners. I like that." Gerald smiled politely. "Thank you, sir. That is very kind of you." "I am going to work in another country soon," said Lord Illingworth. "I need a good young man to help me. I think you are the right person." Gerald looked surprised. "Me? You want me to work with you?" "Yes," said Lord Illingworth. "It is a good job. You will travel. You will learn many things. You will meet important people. I will pay you well. Think about it." Gerald could not believe it. This was a big chance. He had always worked hard, but life was never easy. Now, this rich and powerful man was offering him a future. Gerald stood up and shook Lord Illingworth's hand. "Thank you, sir. I am very happy. I will talk to my mother first. But yes, I want this job." Lord Illingworth smiled. "Good. Tell your mother, then we can talk again tomorrow." Gerald was full of joy. He walked quickly inside the house and found a quiet place. He sat down and wrote a letter to his mother, Mrs. Arbuthnot. He wrote, "Dear Mother, I have great news. Lord Illingworth has offered me a job. I will travel with him to Po, another country. It is a very good job, and he will pay me well. This is a big chance for me. I hope you are happy. I want to speak with you tomorrow. Love, Gerald." The next morning, Gerald left the party early and went home to see his mother. Their small house was quiet. There were no rich clothes or big carriages, but there was love and peace. Mrs. Arbuthnot opened the door with a warm smile. "Gerald, you came early. Was the party good?" Gerald hugged her. "Yes, Mother, it was very nice, but I have big news." He sat down and told her everything. He told her about the garden, the people, the music, and then about Lord Illingworth and the job offer. Mrs. Arbuthnot listened quietly, but when she heard the name, Lord Illingworth, her face changed. Her smile disappeared. Her hands began to shake. She looked away. "Mother," Gerald said softly, "are you all right?" She stood up slowly and walked to the window. She was silent for a moment. Then she spoke in a low voice. "Gerald, I do not want you to work for that man." Gerald was shocked. "But Mother, why? This is a great job. He is an important man. This can change my life." Mrs. Arbuthnot turned and looked at him. Her eyes were full of pain. "I know who he is. I know him very well. I cannot let you go with him. Please trust me." "But you must tell me why," Gerald said. "I don't understand." Mrs. Arbuthnot sat down. Her face was pale. She looked at her son, but she could not speak. The truth was inside her heart, but it was heavy. She had kept it for many years. Now that truth wanted to come out, but she was afraid that her son would not love her the same way, afraid that her past would break his future. Gerald was quiet too. He did not want to hurt his mother, but he was confused. The job offer was so good. Why was his mother so afraid? He held her hand gently. "Mother, please, I need to understand." She looked at him. Tears filled her eyes. "You will understand, my son. I will tell you everything. But it is a very sad story. A story I have hidden for many years." The room was quiet. Outside, the birds were singing. But inside, a storm was beginning. A truth from the past was about to rise. A truth that would change everything. Gerald sat beside his mother. He was ready to listen. Mrs. Arbuthnot took a deep breath. Her voice was soft, but her words were strong. "Gerald, there is something you must know. Something about Lord Illingworth. Something about you." Part 3. A Big Secret. The house was quiet. Gerald sat next to his mother. The air felt heavy. Outside, the sun was shining, but inside, everything felt still. Gerald looked at his mother's face. She was calm, but her eyes were full of sadness. Her hands were cold. Her voice was soft. "Gerald," she said, "you are my son, and I love you more than anything in the world. I never wanted you to feel shame or pain. That is why I kept a big secret from you. But now you must know the truth." Gerald listened carefully. He held his mother's hand. "Many years ago," she began, "when I was a young woman, I met a man. His name was George Harford. Today, you know him as Lord Illingworth." Gerald's eyes opened wide. "Lord Illingworth. You knew him, Mrs." Arbuthnot nodded. "Yes. I loved him. And I thought he loved me too. We were young, and I believed in him. I trusted him. But one day, everything changed. I told him I was going to have a baby. I thought he would marry me. I thought he would stay." She looked down. Her voice became shaky. "But he did not stay. He said he could not marry me. He said it would hurt his name and his future. He left me alone. I cried. I begged him. But he walked away. I never saw him again. I was all alone." Gerald's heart hurt. He could not believe what he was hearing. "You were alone? With a baby?" he asked. "Yes," said Mrs. Arbuthnot. "You were that baby, Gerald. You are his son. But he never cared. He never helped me. I had no husband. I had no money. People in society judged me. They said bad things. They did not invite me. They looked at me with cold eyes." She stood up and walked slowly to the window. "In those days, it was very hard for a woman to raise a child alone. They blamed the woman, never the man. They said I was a bad person. But I was not bad. I just loved the wrong man." She turned and looked at Gerald. "But I never blamed you, my son. You were my joy. You gave me hope. I worked hard. I gave you everything I could. I never told anyone who your father was. I wanted to protect you." Gerald stood up too. His face was pale. He did not know what to say. His life had changed in one moment. "So, Lord Illingworth is my father?" he asked. Mrs. Arbuthnot nodded. Slowly. "Yes, but he never acted like a father. He left us both. And now, after all these years, he offers you a job, like nothing ever happened. I cannot let you work for him, Gerald. It would break my heart." Gerald walked around the room. He was thinking deeply. He felt sad, angry, and confused. He loved his mother. He respected her. She had always been kind and strong. But now there was a storm inside him. "I don't know what to think," he said. "Why did he offer me the job? Did he know I was his son?" Mrs. Arbuthnot shook her head. No, I don't think he knew. He does not care about the past. He does what he wants. He is still the same man, cold and proud. Gerald sat down again. I understand now, Mother. You suffered so much. I cannot work for a man who hurt you. I will not take the job. Tears filled Mrs. Arbuthnot's eyes. She put her arms around her son. Thank you, Gerald. You have always been a good son. I only wanted your happiness. They hugged for a long time. The sun outside was still shining, but now the storm inside the house had passed. There was peace again between mother and son, but something still felt unfinished. Gerald looked at his mother. Shouldn't he know? Gerald asked. Shouldn't Lord Illingworth know the truth? That I am his son? Mrs. Arbuthnot looked down. Maybe one day. But he is a selfish man. I am afraid of what he might say. I do not want to see him again. Gerald was quiet. But inside, a small fire was burning. He felt the need to face Lord Illingworth. He wanted to speak to him, not as a helper or worker, but as a son. And far away at the big house in the countryside, Lord Illingworth was sitting in the garden, drinking tea. He had no idea that the son he never knew was about to speak with him. Part 4. Lord Illingworth shows his true face. The next morning, Gerald sat alone under a tree. The sky was cloudy. The wind was strong. Inside his heart, there was a storm. He kept thinking about what his mother told him. He now knew the truth. Lord Illingworth was his father. But that man had left his mother. He never helped her. He never cared. Gerald could not forget this. He could not forgive it. Later that day, Gerald returned to the big house in the countryside. The weekend party was still going on. People were laughing, eating, and walking in the garden. But Gerald was not smiling. He had something important to do. He found Lord Illingworth near the fountain, the same place where they had first spoken. Lord Illingworth, Gerald said in a serious voice. Lord Illingworth looked at him and smiled. Ah, Gerald, have you spoken with your mother? Are you ready to take the job? No, Gerald said. I cannot take the job. I do not want to work for you. Lord Illingworth looked surprised. Why not? It's a good job. Gerald took a deep breath. Because I know the truth. You are my father. You left my mother. You hurt her. I cannot respect you. I do not want anything from you. Lord Illingworth's smile slowly disappeared. He looked at Gerald with cold eyes. Your mother told you that? He asked. Yes, said Gerald, and I believe her. Lord Illingworth shrugged. That was many years ago. It's not my problem now. Gerald was shocked. Not your problem. She raised me alone. She suffered. And you say it's not your problem? She made her own choices, Lord Illingworth said, turning away. She could have married someone else. She stayed poor. That's her life. Gerald felt angry. He had never met someone so proud and selfish. You have no heart, Gerald said. You only care about yourself. Lord Illingworth looked calm. That's the way of the world, Gerald. People like me succeed. People like your mother do not. At that moment, a young woman named Hester walked by. She had been kind to Gerald before. She was a quiet and honest girl from America. She believed in truth and respect. Lord Illingworth smiled at her. You look very beautiful today, Miss Hester, he said. Hester gave a small smile and nodded, politely, but she did not like the way he looked at her. Lord Illingworth stepped closer. "Will you walk with me in the garden?" he asked. "No, thank you," said Hester kindly. But Lord Illingworth did not listen. He moved even closer and tried to kiss her hand. Hester quickly stepped back. "Please stop," she said. "You are not a gentleman." Just then Mrs. Arbuthnot arrived. She had seen everything. Her face was red with anger. She walked straight to Lord Illingworth. "How dare you?" she said loudly. "You think you can do anything. You left me. You forgot your son. And now you try to kiss a young girl who does not like you." People nearby heard her voice and began to look. Some stopped talking. Some walked closer. "You wear fine clothes. You live in a big house. But inside, you are not a good man," she said. "You are a man with no heart." Lord Illingworth stood still. He did not speak. He looked proud and cold. Mrs. Arbuthnot turned to the guests. "I want everyone to know the truth," she said. "This man is Gerald's father. He left me alone when I needed him most. He never helped. He never cared." Now the garden was very quiet. No one was laughing any more. People whispered. Some looked at Lord Illingworth with disgust. Others walked away. Gerald stood by his mother. Hester stood beside them too. Lord Illingworth tried to smile. "This is not the place for such stories," he said. But no one listened. The truth had come out. Mrs. Arbuthnot looked at Gerald. "We are not poor in heart," she said. "We have truth. We have love. That is enough." Gerald nodded. "I am proud of you, Mother." Hester looked at them both. Her eyes were soft. "Your mother is a brave woman, Gerald. I respect her." That evening, the party ended early. People left the big house. Some guests did not say goodbye to Lord Illingworth. He sat alone in the garden with only his pride. He had lost respect. He had lost the son he never cared for. And the world finally saw his true face. Part 5. A Strong Woman. The party was over. The guests had all gone home. The big house was quiet now. Flowers in the garden moved gently in the wind. But something had changed, something deep and powerful. The truth had come out, and everyone knew what kind of man Lord Illingworth really was. He was rich, but he had no kindness. He was powerful, but he had no love. He sat alone in his big house, but he had no family beside him. Far from that cold house, in a small, warm room at a simple inn, Gerald sat with his mother, Mrs. Arbuthnot, and Hester. A soft fire was burning. The room was not fancy, but it felt peaceful. It felt safe. Gerald looked at his mother with deep respect. She had been through so much pain. She had lived alone, worked hard, and raised him with love. Now, after so many years, the world finally saw her truth. She had nothing to hide any more. "Mother," Gerald said softly, "you are the strongest person I know. You have done everything for me. You never asked for help. You never gave up." Mrs. Arbuthnot smiled, gently. "I only did what a mother should do, Gerald. I loved you. That gave me strength." Hester sat nearby. She looked at Mrs. Arbuthnot with kind eyes. "You are very brave," she said. "I saw what you did at the party. You stood up to Lord Illingworth. You told the truth. Not many people could do that." Mrs. Arbuthnot looked down for a moment. "For many years I felt small. People looked at me with judgment. They thought I was a bad woman. But today I spoke from my heart. I feel free now." Gerald nodded. "You should never feel small again. You gave me love and taught me to be good. That is more than any rich man ever gave me." There was silence for a while. The fire crackled gently. Then Hester spoke. "Gerald," she said, "I want to stay. I want to be with you and your mother. I want to help take care of her. She is like a mother to me, too." Mrs. Arbuthnot looked at Hester with warm eyes. "You are very kind, my dear. I did not expect this." Hester smiled. "When I first came to England, I thought rich people had everything. But I learned something important. Kindness, truth, and love are more powerful than money or big houses." Gerald took Hester's hand. "We will make a new life together. A life with love, honesty, and care. That is what matters." Mrs. Arbuthnot watched them. She felt proud. Her son was kind. He had chosen the right path. She did not feel alone anymore. The next day, they left the countryside and returned to their small town. People in the town heard about what happened. Some were surprised. Some were sorry for judging Mrs. Arbuthnot in the past. A few people even came to visit her. They brought flowers and said kind words. One woman said, "We were wrong to talk, and badly about you. You were always strong, even when we didn't see it." Mrs. Arbuthnot thanked them politely, but she did not need their words any more. She had her son, she had Hester, and most of all, she had her pride. Weeks passed. Life became simple and peaceful again. Gerald found small work in the town. Hester taught poor children to read and write. Mrs. Arbuthnot helped women who were alone, just like she once was. She gave them hope. She gave them love. One evening, they all sat together in the garden behind their small house. The sky was orange and pink. Birds were flying home. The air was soft and quiet. Hester looked at Mrs. Arbuthnot and said, "You are not a woman of no importance. You are a woman of great importance." Mrs. Arbuthnot smiled. "I do not need others to say that any more. I know who I am. I have love. I have truth. That is enough." Gerald looked at his mother and said, "The world once judged you, but now it will remember you as a brave and loving woman. You gave me life. You gave me everything." Mrs. Arbuthnot held her son's hand. Her eyes were full of peace. Yes, once she had been forgotten. Once she had walked with her head down. But now she stood tall. She had faced pain, but she had not broken. She had shown that a woman does not need money or a husband to be strong. She only needs love, truth, and courage. And so the story ended, not in sadness, but in hope. Because sometimes the strongest people are the quiet ones, the ones who are judged, the ones who suffer in silence. But when their light finally shines, the whole world sees how great they truly are. This was the story of a woman who was once called of no importance, but she was in truth a woman of great importance.